What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the content that we have coming out. Now, we got some comics that we need to review, but of course we have to cover Zack Snyder's Justice League. We have to give a review on this. It's what everybody is talking about right now, and I just got done finished watching it, and I cannot wait to dive into this with you guys. So the first part of this is going to be a non-spoiler review, and the second part, we're going to dive a little more in depth and talk about exactly what happened in this. We're going to drop some spoilers for sure. I'll let you guys know exactly when the non-spoiler part of this video has ended. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright everyone, so my first initial thoughts is this was 10 times better than the original Justice League that we had got. Now don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy the original Justice League. I don't personally think Joss Whedon did a bad job when it comes to creating some kind of universe after Zack Snyder had to drop out, unfortunately, due to the passing of his daughter. But what is really amazing is seeing Zack Snyder be able to, one, get the ability to come back and do this all over again, and two, to come back and do it so freaking well. Now, there was a lot of people that were super skeptical on it being a 4-hour movie, but it didn't play like that. This movie really did play really well, and it kept you entertained the entire time. Now, my personal thoughts on the original Joss Whedon version, it really felt rushed. There wasn't enough time to tell the stories that needed to be told. DC hadn't established enough of their characters for the Justice League movie to really grasp at viewers. But what Zack Snyder did is he came in and he really gave some in-depth storytelling to both Cyborg and the Flash. Because I feel like the Flash had really been misrepresented, or at least not giving enough spotlight when it came to the original Justice League version. Now, one thing I do disagree with is how they've all written Barry Allen to begin with. You know, I understand he's an early version of Barry Allen. He's a brand new to his powers, the Flash. But at the end of the day, Barry Allen isn't some weird, quirky, borderline creeper pervert type guy. And that's really how they're portraying him in this. Almost as if like he's still a virgin and he's just never talked to a girl in his life before. Except that's his attitude toward everyone he talks to. And they try to build it around he's a recluse and he's antisocial and so on and so forth. But it really just doesn't play. He almost seems like a mentally ill patient that needs to be on heavy doses of medication. Now, there were a small amount of CGI hiccups throughout this, but for the most part, most of them were corrected. To include Superman's ridiculous CGI mustache, that was fixed relatively well. And when we talk about CGI, we cannot forget to talk about Steppenwolf, because he was highly upgraded. Now, this is something that we definitely saw, and Steppenwolf looks absolutely amazing. Playing all the way through this, he is absolutely phenomenal. And now, this isn't necessarily a spoiler, because we all knew this was coming. We all got visuals of this, but we finally get to see Darkseid on the theatrical big screen, if you will. Personally, I used my projector to watch this. So, you know, we really got to see Darkseid in a whole different light, and not in a manner that he's a different character or anything like that, but we finally get to see him in a theatrical perspective, which I really think changes and helps progress this along really well, and it really keeps fans entertained and wanting more, because I always want more Darkseid. So as much Darkseid as you can give me is as much Darkseid as I will take. But yeah, all in all, this movie was absolutely fantastic. We got a lot of in-depth storytelling that we missed out on before. We got to see a lot of action-packed stuff, and we got to definitely see a new twist on an old story. And I personally think Zack Snyder did a fantastic job when it comes to taking a movie that we've already seen, we already know, that has been established for quite some time now, and taking it and making it so good to where people are like, wow, that was really good. That's a whole new movie, is completely different. Yeah, you see a few moments here and there that you recognize, But for the most part, this is a completely new movie. And like I said, I'm here for the ride. I wasn't a big, let's do the Snyderverse thing before, but I am definitely on board with it now. I would thoroughly like to see his vision completed. Now, if you have not seen the movie, this is the point in the video where you need to close it out, because we are going to drop some spoilers. Be sure to come back a little bit later after you've watched the movie. That way you can discuss this with us in the comments, and we can talk more about what we think the Snyderverse might be headed if they decided to pick this up. Alright guys, this is spoiler time. My biggest takeaway from the Justice League was The Flash. The Flash was absolutely amazing. The special effects, the CGI was so good and so on point. We got to see the Flash really get to use the full extent of his abilities, to include time traveling. That was absolutely perfection. That's everything I wanted the Justice League movie to do with the Flash. And it finally feels like, he's getting the respect he deserves. Because Flash is arguably one of the strongest characters in the DC universe. And so even a brand new to his powers The Flash, he's still going to be ridiculously powerful. And we see that happen at the end of this, when we see him using time travel to be able to go back in time and reverse the unity that happened with the mother boxes. And the CGI for that was absolutely perfection. Now, personally, I believe that was going to be him in the Speed Force first initially learning what the Speed Force is, but I definitely can appreciate this aspect of it because it is so much fun. I still think it's absolutely ridiculous how they have him running, though. How they have Barry Allen running through this whole thing. Like, I get it, he's going so fast and he's more doing leaps and bounds. But still, I don't see somebody doing that with their arms regardless of what speed they're going. But, what do I know? I'm not a scientist. I couldn't tell you the science behind how to properly run when you're running at light speed. So yeah, The Flash was 100% my favorite part of this movie, probably making it at least in the top 3 of my DC movies. And it's really close to being number 1 because I love when the Flash gets his opportunity to shine. And this is exactly what Zack Snyder did with the Flash. Now, talking about other things that happened in this, we did see Martian Manhunter. Now, he only made small cameos, but it was building the idea for a future Snyderverse. And we get to see Martian Manhunter at the end come to Batman and talk to him and pretty much tell him that he's going to be working more closely with the Justice League because now he feels like he has a stake in everything. So I'm really, really freaking excited for that. I'm excited to see what that entails. Who knows? We might get to see it. I'm at least cautiously optimistic that it may be a possibility. There's just too much money here, you guys. There's so much money that they can be made off of this. Just off of the Snyder Cut alone, you can branch off and make the Cyborg movie, you can make the Flash movie, you can make a Martian Manhunter movie, and that's just directly off of this movie. You can make a Man of Steel #2, which a lot of people have been begging for. There's just so many endless possibilities that we can do when it comes to the Snyder Cut. So I don't see a reason why, Warner Brothers Studios would ever decide not to continue on with this. And especially with how critically acclaimed it is becoming, I really see it having some kind of future. Now, the last thing I really wanted to talk about when it came to all of this is the nightmare scenario that we saw in the epilogue. Now, the whole movie, we had seen, premonitions, we had seen Bruce Wayne having nightmares, everybody kind of worried about what would happen if Superman was resurrected. And most of all, Bruce Wayne, because he has a nightmare where him, Cyborg, the Flash, Mira, Deathstroke, and the Joker are trying to make their way through a hellish nightmare wasteland. And we see some amazing dialogue between Joker and Batman. Many hints towards death in the family. And then Bruce Wayne, Batman lets us know that he is the one that ended up killing Harley Quinn. That she died in his hands. And we see a side of Batman that can only come after everything has been lost, and this man has literally just broke. And to continue on, we were talking about Deathstroke. Deathstroke, I'm really excited for as well, because that can lead us into a Legion of Doom situation, which really seems that's what they're building to, with Lex Luthor being on the yacht and Deathstroke. You know, Deathstroke seemingly joins up later on after Superman becomes a tyrant and Darkseid invades Earth. So yeah, there's so much endless possibilities that they can do with this. I thoroughly enjoy it. I would give this movie probably a 9 out of 10. I would say 9 out of 10 is my review on it. I would have liked to see a small few different things happen. I would have seen a little bit more of the nightmare scenario. I would have liked to see a little bit more, maybe even, you know, a Green Lantern. And you know, we saw a Green Lantern in the flashback scenario, which was super awesome. And that Green Lantern was Yalin Gur. Now, Yalin Gur was introduced in Green Lantern number 19 as one of the Green Lantern's greatest officers in the past. And it's really awesome that we saw him, but I would have liked to see our Justice League unite with one of the lanterns, any of the lanterns, because we're talking about Darkseid here in the mother boxes. And these have to be pinging somewhere on the Guardians' radar. So we would only imagine that they would send a Green Lantern to investigate. And of course, we would assume that that Green Lantern is of that sector. Yeah, but besides that, I really don't have any complaints about this movie. I thought it was fantastic. I really do want more, you know, hashtag freaking Snyder Cut, because I want more. Finish this trilogy off. Give us the nightmare scenario. Show us exactly what's going to happen. Now, they did mention in an interview with Zack Snyder talking about how he wanted this to end. And essentially, the story ends, and if you don't want to hear this, turn this off right now, because I am going to tell you exactly what Zack Snyder thinks about this ending. And he wants this to end with essentially Batman dying. It is really what Zack Snyder's end goal for this is the Batman sacrifice himself, going back in time, and him dying instead of Lois Lane. Because apparently Darkseid comes in and kills Lois Lane, and Batman was too cowardly to sacrifice his own life for Lois Lane's. And so they have to go back in time and rewrite everything, and we have Batman ending and a new Batman taking over. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the movie down in the comments. If you have not yet, please like this channel, subscribe, because we are definitely going to be covering so much more when it comes to cinema, media, and all that good stuff. And we already cover pretty much all the freaking comics. So if that's not enough reason for you to stick around, check out all the comics we have. We're covering King in Black, we're covering Infinite Frontier, we're covering Future State, we're covering indie comics. We got it all covered. And with that being said, until the next breakdown.